Ready to start now. Welcome to the Delvin Cox Experience, the podcast in which each week I am on a one-man mission to unite our culture through diversity. I'm your host, Delvin Cox, and with me on this podcast is my boy, my brother, somebody I truly and actually call a friend, my boy Brandon. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, Delvin. Thanks for having me back on. It's been quite a while since I've done a regular episode with you.
Yeah, that's true. It's been a good minute.
Yeah.
As always, we'd like to start the podcast off with the 5 for 5. 5 questions, 5 answers to get the ball rolling. Since Brandon's been on here before multiple times, I'm giving him different questions, so it's going to be even more interesting.
Excellent.
Brandon, are you ready?
Mix it up. Let's do it.
Okay. Question number 1. What is the worst song you've heard this year?
Oh, man. Damn, that's rough, dude. This year, like on the show, well, I mean, we do songs that we have on the show, you know, for Shitty Song of the Week that we like to, and when we do that show, we like to have songs that people have heard, you know, so there's a lot of music out there that's fucking god-awful, terrible, that no one's ever actually heard before, you know, so it's hard to get people to vote on songs that they're not quite familiar with. That's why we do things more mainstream. However, I have found it's an Iron Maiden cover, the song Run to the Hills, and it's done by this woman called Tanya Tagaq. And it's so weird because I want to like it a lot. It's got this really interesting sound to it. Like it's using a lot of violins and whatnot for the instruments. So I get into it. It's got this real creepy Les Claypool sound. And then she starts whisper singing the song, which, you know, I can get into, whatever. But then there's this weird Yoko Ono sort of style screaming that goes into it, and there's a fucking throat singing solo that gets thrown into the mix. It takes a serious left turn into one of the shittiest things I've ever heard.
That sounds like a lot.
It's awful, but I'm a glutton for punishment, man. I love listening to a train wreck, so I found that thing, and it's instantly been put on one of my Spotify playlists. I put that shit on.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I'm fucking weird like that.
Question number 2. Who do you think is the coolest bad guy in movies?
Oh, damn, man.
That one bad guy, you're like, yeah, he's badass. I don't care if he's the villain or not. This dude I'm kind of cheering for.
Oh, that's rough, man. Like I'm not a huge movie buff to the point where I love film bad guys and shit.
But you know, there's a couple of bad guys that you could probably think.
I mean, you know,
awesome.
I'm not big on action films and shit, but you know, right off the top of my head, Hans Gruber comes to mind from Die Hard. Like, you know, I know that's an easy go-to answer. Like everyone picks fucking Alan Rickman and shit, but I mean, he did a great job in that role. Really, John Goodman in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
He was good in that.
Yeah, that movie itself, I wasn't a big fan of. Like, I like the concept, but it could have been done better. But any time that John Goodman is a bad guy, fucking on board with it. And it's the same thing with Robin Williams. Like, very few films where Robin Williams played the bad guy in it, but he did such a great job.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 3. This is going to be fun and interesting. So you got to play along with it, Brandon.
All right, let's do it.
You got to play along with it. I want you to sing a part of your favorite soul song.
Soul?
Yeah, it can be white soul, it can be black soul. So you can sing a Phil Collins chord, you can sing a Michael McDonald chord, you can sing whatever you choose to pick. But that'd be one little small part of it.
Oh man, well, I mean, like Michael, like, look, I don't have like a favorite soul like riff or anything like that. I can say like I like breaking out of. You said Michael McDonald. I like breaking out a Michael McDonald impression. I was just gonna say like this. It doesn't really matter. You know, like I don't even have to say.
I like that.
Like, anytime he breaks out that super falsetto, you can't really understand what he's saying. But,
that is true. Oh man, I like that. Question number 4.
Damn it. God damn it.
Power Rangers or Ninja Turtles?
Oh, really? I mean, can I go neither? Is it blasphemous if I go
No,
neither?
you
Like,
gotta pick one. You gotta pick one of them.
I gotta pick one. Okay. I mean, what's the scenario here, Delvin? Am I joining one of these teams? Am I fucking them? Am I fighting them? Like, what's going on?
I'll put it to you this way. Let's do it this way.
All right.
Both of the teams are fighting. Whoever you pick kills the other team.
Okay. Well, I mean, then in that case, you know, I guess I'm gonna fuck the Ninja Turtles up. Like, yeah. Look, I'm not buying into the Michael Bay fucking storyline bullshit of them. I'm not a big fan of the Turtles, as blasphemous as that sounds. I'm not big on the Power Rangers either, but I find it more amusing to see a group of teenagers to grown adults just beating the shit out of a bunch of sentient turtles. I mean, something about that, you know, makes me chuckle. So I'll go with that.
You probably would like the old Ninja Turtle comic books before they like became like an actual like in the cartoon show in like the 90s when it got goofy and stuff. Because
weren't they like much more violent and shit?
Way more violent. It's super serious.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I might give those a shot.
All right. Question number 5. You got to pick a team of 5 podcasters to do a podcast with. Who are you going with? Anybody you want to pick?
Anybody. Well, I mean, I'm gonna pick the guy, like my co-host for fucking every other thing that I've done. Red.
Okay. Good choice.
You know, Jody B from Po Boys.
Okay.
Fucking great at that. You know, I'd throw you into the mix of that.
Awesome.
That's the Avengers of podcasting.
I like that.
Yeah, right. Let's see. I would like to, in a dream world, I'd like to talk to Dick Masterson from the Dick Show.
That seems achievable.
Yeah, I mean, you think it's one of the bigger shows out there, so it's kind of hard to actually get in touch with the guy, but who knows? Maybe someday. And I'd throw Carl from WATP on there.
That sounds like a good 5.
Yeah, I can
like
enjoy
that.
it. Yeah.
All right. Now, let's get to it. You have been telling me about this magical song that I must hear.
Okay.
So
Okay,
set it up for me.
Okay, so I do a show called Shitty Song of the Week. As you know, Delvin, you've been on several times. We're actually fixing to record an episode right after we do this shit. So what that is that, you know, each week we pick a category and a genre for music, and we find the worst songs within that genre. And we listen to them, we poke fun of them, we had a great time, and we vote to see which one is the shitty song of that week. Now, I found an entire album that, in my hunt for some terrible music, that I'm declaring to be one of the greatest and worst musical things to ever happen. Now, I don't know if you're very familiar with the Ramones, but
yes, I am.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, I'm sure you know them. Their guitarist D.D. King, about 2 months before he actually left the band officially, decided to venture off and try to do a solo career. Which, you know, that's not out of the ordinary for rock stars. It happens all the time, right?
Yeah, that's very common occurrence.
What's interesting about this is that this entire album is a rap album.
Hold on, what?
Yes. Okay, great. I got you on board. Now, Dee Dee Ramone, or in this album, D.D. King, I should say, released an album in 1989 called Standing in the Spotlight. Now, there are 12 tracks to this album, and they're all rap, and each one of them has like their own different style and feel to them, and they're crazy. Like I have a couple of them, but I'm only gonna play one of them for you. But he has one where he essentially raps over the Monster Mash. Like, he has his own background singers and shit, and he writes this rap over the Monster Mash, but it's about doing the mashed potato, like the 1950s dance move and shit.
That sounds awful.
This album is insane, and I can't get enough of it. I love it so much. So I wanted to bring something to you here. This is one of my favorite tracks. It's called I Want What I Want When I Want It.
Okay.
Long as fuck title.
This sounds like sexual assault, but we're going to roll with it.
Oh, this is even better, Delvin. I mean, look, I'm going to apologize to your listeners. This is most certainly going to be like ear rape, but I want you to consent just for 2 minutes or so we can enjoy this shit. because this is D.D. King's diss track. This is where
Diss track.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh!
This is where shit gets real, and he lays it out for every other rapper out there. You know, like, because it's a staple in rap music to brag about your skills and how much better you are than everyone else at what you do. So I want to present this to you. This man sounds like his voice. I can only describe it as like you listen to it, and you're sure he's either got some sort of mental handicap or he's been kicked in the head by a horse. Only logical thing I can get behind this. But here we go. I Want What I Want When I Want It by D.D. King. And I'll stop it at certain points and sit so we can talk about it. But here we go.
Okay.
Want what I want it, oh yeah. Want what I want it, oh yeah. I was lacing up my broken sneakers. Mr. Magic blasting out the speakers. It's midnight and the sun is down. I can do the funky strut. It's good as James Brown. Back to the house as I win another trophy. I'm the man in the spotlight. Everybody loves me. And I am a hip-hop fiend. I'm the baddest rapper in Whitestone, Queens. I want what I want.
He is a hip-hop fiend.
He's right about one thing. He is the baddest rapper. He is fucking awful. He sounds like Stuttering John.
Yeah, like it's literally like look, if I was to do an insensitive impression of a mentally handicapped person, like, you know, duh, like picture Carlos Mencia during his phase.
Yes.
And like that's the voice that I hear when this shit goes on, but I can't get enough of it. It sucks me in because of how fucking ridiculous it is. And there's an entire album of this.
He sounds awful.
Oh yeah. And look, this is 1989. So granted, you know, like the style of rapping was different then. The lyrics were different. Look,
I'm not giving him a pass. Like LL Cool J was out around this time. Curtis Blow, Rakim, Run DMC.
all I'm saying is that the only thing that he's missing from this song is him saying, "My name is Dee and I'm here to say."
Yeah, this is bad.
And there are songs on this album where he starts them out that way. So that I want what I want when I want it. Shit, that's the chorus. You're gonna hear it again. And then, you know, real quick, he's just going to dive into another fucking amazing verse. He is mad. He is mad at everyone. He wants everyone to know just how bad a rapper he is.
Wow.
I love this shit so much.
I want it, oh yeah. I want what I want when I want it, oh yeah. I want what I want when I want it, oh yeah. Well, I'm not afraid to advertise. I'm way ahead of those other guys. Those rookie MCs rocking the mic, blasting out rhymes that people don't like, cause they all sound like everyone else. To have your own style, you gotta be yourself. There's no sense being a copycat. No one wants to hear rappers like that. I want what I want when I want it, oh yeah. I want what I want when I want it, oh yeah. I want what I want when I want it, oh yeah.
Oh my
This
God.
shit sounds like if Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street were to make a rap song and fucking record it. Like, he's supposed to be like, teach you how to count your fucking numbers or some shit. What is going on?
I'm not afraid to advertise. Like, what the fuck? Like, look, there were so many people that listened to this. Like, this wasn't just something that he recorded it by himself in his room and shit. He's a famous rock star. This went in a studio. There was an audio engineer that listened to him record this. There was a band that went along with this. I'm going to say close to at least 50 people heard this album in its production phase, and not a single one of them went to Dee and was like, look, dude, this is not a good idea.
Also, let me add, the Beastie Boys were out around this time. There were white rappers around.
It's very much like a knockoff Beastie Boys song. Like, I'm waiting for D.D. King to be like, I'm telling y'all it's sabotage. Like, what the fuck?
Like, there were decent white rappers out there. We didn't have to do this. Like, this is fucking awful.
Well, I hate to subject you and your listeners to more of it, but there's still like another minute or so of it. Yeah, thankfully this song is a short one, but there are songs on here where it's like 5-6 minutes of him rapping, and I just couldn't bear myself to bring that shit to you. So here we go. Funky little music break.
Yes. Okay, this is just the bridge, I guess.
Won't make it to the hall.
Yeah, okay, great. I'm glad you mentioned that because that clip, that's about 20 seconds or so, give or take. It didn't need to be there.
No, it didn't.
You could have cut that whole thing out, and this would have been a 2-minute song flat and outright. And I mean, look, it's not going to save it. It's still going to be a shitty song. But
usually, with my experience with music, usually when you have a bridge in the song, it's a lot of instrumentation that goes with it, so you can feel that instrumentation. Like whether it's in Beat It, you have the guitar solo or something like that. It's badass and cool. Or you have some type of breakdown. You have like a freestyle rap or something that goes into it. This is just the beat playing for 20 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a great point. Like if this continued on, you would expect to hear like a solo or like another bridge or maybe like background vocals that come in or like something to build up. This is a point where the song's supposed to build up before it goes back to its mediocre bullshit. But no, it doesn't. It just fucking it plays a simple little rhythm for 4 bars, and it just doesn't need to be there. Like I'm so sick of filler in music. It doesn't need to happen. So
I agree.
Yeah, look, there's one more verse. He's got one more verse to lay down for you to let you know just how great he is at his skill. And look, if he was still performing today, I'd probably go and see him.
I wouldn't pay to see this shit.
Well, I didn't say I'd pay for it. I just said I'd go and see him.
Oh.
Hall of Fame, if those lyrics you write are considered lame. The cut creator, the master of rap. When I strut down the street, homeboys tip the hat. They stand there amazed. They say there he is, the #1 rapper in all of showbiz. The funky man is here to stay. He blows those other rappers away.
Now, you heard him rapping for about 2 minutes now. Is he not the #1 rapper in showbiz?
He's right about one thing. He blows. That's a fact. He fucking blows. He is awful. He is trash. I'm embarrassed that he took up the genre of rap. He's so bad. I don't want to listen to any more Ramones music. He made their music sound trash doing the shit that he's doing right here. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Look, I agree with you 100% on that comment, but I implore you and everyone listening to this episode to go and seek this album out. The whole thing is on YouTube. D.D. King, Standing in the Spotlight. It's one of the greatest train wrecks that you will ever hear. I guarantee it.
Not to find out.
It's a fucking Men's Warehouse guarantee right there.
I'm interested to see if this album even made any money.
It did not. Like, I can tell you exactly. Like, this shit fucking failed miserably. I mean, surprising, right? You heard it. Like, there's no reason why this shouldn't have been picked up by someone, but
holy shit! Look at this album cover. This album cover is fucking amazing.
He looks like he is trying to look like Corey Feldman, trying to look like Michael Jackson,
trying to look like Run DMC.
Yeah, exactly.
All those things you said are accurate, which makes it even more funnier.
Yeah, and it's like 5. It's like a standard like boy band album cover, but all the pictures of the people are just him in different poses. It's insane.
I'm speechless. Like, this is some garbage. Like,
look, I'm telling you, man. Like, listen to Mashed Potato Time and listen to German Kid. Like he starts rapping in German, and the whole rap is about how he is half American and half German, and how amazing that is for some fucking reason.
The fuck?
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude, this album is so worth diving into.
Yeah. I mean, I don't respond to that. He made a song about how he's half American and half German. Yeah, that's bad.
I mean, I got no problem finishing out the rest of this episode. We can just listen to the whole album.
No, we're not doing that. So, Brandon, what have you been up to, brother? Let everybody know what you've been up to. Shitty Song of the Week is a great podcast. You had some great guests on. Let people know about it a little bit more.
Oh yeah, I did a little plug earlier for it. You know, we've been racking up a bunch of episodes. Both Red and I are in the middle of moving at this point in time, so we're trying to get a bunch of shit together so that, you know, if there's any downtime, we're covered on that. But we just released we released our new metal episode today, which had a first for us, where we both ended up picking this song from the same artist. Because you know we go head to head against each other, but neither one of us tells the other one what we're putting up until the episode comes out, and we have him record it. So he brought a Korn song, and I also happened to bring a Korn song. So it just ended up figuring out which one was the shittier Korn song. Which, you know, Jonathan Davis wins either way. You can't go wrong with that. But we've been doing a lot of rap, some rock. We just did live performances. We got songs from artists that branch out and do different things. So you bet your ass D.D. King is probably going to show up in a future episode at some point.
The legend.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I'm spreading that shit around. I'm telling everyone about it.
So let me ask you this: what has been the worst song you guys have done thus far? Like the unlistenable song, the song like you're like, we can't fucking get through this episode listening to this horrible shit.
Okay, well, there was it might be the first. We call them dishonorable mentions, like the songs that we like. We like to highlight songs that are too shitty to even compete with, and we do that on our Patreon now, patreon.com/SSOTW. Quick plug, but we like highlighting the worst of the worst, and so far on that list, we've come across a man called That One Guy, who is he's in the jam scene, and he plays this homemade instrument made out of a giant series of plumber's piping. It's just metal pipes and then a couple of bass strings that he slaps on and shit. And it sounds like it would be interesting, but it's just fucking god awful garbage. And there was let's see, Songwriter X and the Skeleton Band. That was fucking horrible. Yeah, it was like this weird, like bluesy country rock sort of song about a skeleton who fell in a well and needed a rope to get out. It was the dumbest fucking thing.
Oh man, you know, it's interesting you say that about the guy making an instrument out of pipes. There was this guy when I was growing up. I was probably like 16, 17. He used to ride when I was going to school and getting out of school. So he used to ride the train, and he made a violin out of cardboard and string. He would play the violin on the train, and people would give him money for it. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. It worked perfectly too.
Oh hell yeah! That's something I do enjoy. Like, I love seeing people branch out from the unconventional instruments to try to make noise. Like, that's why I wanted to give that one guy credit where credit was due. It was a failed attempt at what he did, at least for the song that we played. But you know, I've been a musician for years. I've traveled around and I've experimented with different things. I love the concept of everything making a sound. You know, it's not just guitar strings or drums or shit. You can make music virtually out of anything. You know?
I agree. So now you got to give one of the crazy musician stories now, Brandon. You know people love your crazy stories, so you got to give one of your crazy stories on here, man.
I mean, I don't have any crazy musician stories. Like, I mean, like
every musician has a crazy musician story.
Yeah, but I'm not a professional musician. I don't go around
even
and, like,
the amateur ones have crazy stories.
Like, look, I don't have I lived in a tent for a couple of years. I traveled the music festival scene. I got a job as a server and performer, you know, to try to lure people into this stand to serve food and shit. And we'd go music festivals, and I lived out of a tent with a fucking cat. And I wrote this instrumental album that I tried to get fucking out there and shit. I got signed on to this shitty little air quotes record label out of Nashville that ended up falling apart, and they took me for a shit ton of money. And
none of that sounds interesting to you. You literally just said, I lived out of a tent with a cat.
Yeah, I would have
How
had
did that happen?
Well, I mean, like most stories that start out with stupid life decisions, I did it for some pussy. I grew up in New England, so I was around the jam scene all the time. I've been to a bunch of music festivals and shit before. There was a girl that I went to high school with who got a job doing this vending, sort of I'm going to call it a gypsy job, just because of the lifestyle it was. So and I had a thing for her, so I thought if I could get to working around her, get closer, something could happen. And that immediately turned to we worked one festival together. And then she parted ways, and her job took her fucking across the country, and I went in a completely different direction and shit. So it failed miserably for me, but I love doing it. I like the atmosphere for the time being. I liked the people. The drugs were fucking incredible. It was great. And then my boss ended up leaving me stranded in Cleveland, Ohio one day. We worked this street fair. And it was fine for a couple days, and then at the end of it, we packed everything up. And he said, "Okay, so I got this thing going on down in Florida. I don't need you for it. I'll give you a call when I do." And then he just drove his happy ass out of there. So he left me stranded on the streets of Cleveland, Ohio, with nothing but a tent, a guitar, and a cat.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and I lived on the streets of Cleveland for about 2 weeks or so. Street performing for food and cat food and shit, trying to figure out what my next plan was. And look, I'm not trying to talk shit on any city or anything, but I'll never go back to that fucking shithole.
Yeah, I've heard multiple people say similar things about Cleveland.
Yeah, it's not the nicest place in the world. So it was just a shitty environment, and I got fed up with it one day, so I decided to actually hitchhike back to my mom's place in North Carolina at the time. I was young enough where I could do that. You would think that. Yeah, I mean, I guess in my mind, I thought that hitchhiking from Ohio to North Carolina wouldn't be that difficult. But I guess that's because of the environment that I was surrounding myself with the whole time. Like being around a bunch of hippies who tried helping each other all the time and gave each other rides and all shit, whatever. Cut to the real world where you're walking down the highway with a guitar case and a cat, and you're rocking these fucking tie-dye shirts and shit. Most people think you're some kind of weird, deranged serial killer who's going to fucking rape them in the woods and shit.
Yes.
Yeah. So it took me a long time to get from Ohio to North Carolina, but I managed to get it done. And while I was doing that, I just started writing all this instrumental music, and I tried doing something with it, but it turns out that being a professional musician, I should say, is not for me. So here we are.
And you said you didn't have a story. That's a hell of a story.
I guess.
You lived on the streets for 2 weeks out of a tent.
I mean, I lived out of a tent for a little over 2.5 years, and that was a lot of times that was in woods, or a couple times it would be in the back of cemeteries, or pretty much wherever I could pitch a tent and post that for a while.
So why would you live in a tent for 2 years? How did that happen?
I mean, that was just part of the job. We traveled everywhere. We didn't spend the money that I made. It went towards food, living, drugs. I didn't really spend it on hotels or anything like that. And plus I'm a nature guy, so I love the experience of being able to go in a tent and then open it up and go down to the creek, get some water, and fuck it. It was a really peaceful time. But at a certain point, that lifestyle gets old, and you want to actually establish roots somewhere. You don't want to just keep floating around in a fucking tent. Yeah,
because the first thing I thought of, the bathroom. Where would you go to use the bathroom at? Especially number two.
I mean, obviously, if I'm in I'm gonna say civilized, but if I'm in an area where I can go to a public restroom, I'd go to a public restroom, or if I was at a friend's house, I'd go there, or restaurants. But most of the time, if I had to go, you dig a hole.
Wow, this is fascinating. And you did that for 2 years?
Yeah, a little over.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, time really flies when you're loaded up on mushrooms and LSD, Delvin.
That's a good point. That is a good point. So, what kind of songs did you play?
It was all the genre. It's called fingerstyle guitar. It's a lot of ambient soundscapes and instrumental stuff because I don't like the sound of my singing voice. You know, I describe it as like Adam Sandler if he got his nuts stepped on. So I don't like. Yeah, so I don't like to sing very much. So I like to do. I like to have the guitar do the singing for me and shit. But have you ever seen the movie August Rush?
No, I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, so the music's really similar to that. It's a lot of finger picking and using the acoustic guitar body for percussion for beats as well. A lot of finger tapping and harmonics and shit. It's a little more technical than what you hear on mainstream radio.
That is really cool, Brandon.
Yeah, I guess.
You have.
I mean, I love doing it. It's not something that I do very often anymore. You know, like I like venturing out and doing other avenues with my art and shit. Like right now, I got a pottery wheel, and I'm working on getting good at playing with clay while I'm sitting here in quarantine.
Let me ask you, how have you gotten to that? Because I used to when I was younger, my hobby I used to crochet a lot because my grandmother was an older woman and she taught me how to crochet. Like when I was a kid, she's probably like in her 70s and 80s, and she stayed like an old folks home, and she would crochet these big blankets and stuff like that. So she taught me how to crochet. So I would go over to her house, I would crochet with her, and I would badly play her old guitar. Like she had like an old, like one of those old guitars, like it was in a Western.
Yep.
And I used to go over there and play with her guitar, and crochet.
There you go.
It's very therapeutic. Is that the same thing you get with pottery?
Yeah, more or less. I actually bought the wheel for my wife It was supposed to be like one of those sweet gestures, like back to the first conversation we had. She said she always wanted one. So I finally had the money. I hunted one down. I picked it up for her. And she tried it out a few times, but she's got small hands, which I guess makes it a little difficult for her to work the clay and shit. So she has a hard time working on it. And I decided to tinker around with it and have my fun. And it turns out that I'm actually better at it than I thought I was. So fucking around with it turned into watching YouTube videos and learning a little more about what I'm doing and trying to learn from my mistakes. And now I'm sitting here honestly considering looking up prices for kilns and trying to figure out how I can actually make some money off the shit.
Have you made anything cool that you can think of yet?
I mean, I don't have a kiln, so everything that I make right now, I can't use it. It's just for practice. Because if you put water or anything to it, it's just gonna dissolve it right back to its malleable state. But I've made like I've been working on like donut shaped teapots and shit. So I'm trying to get like my shaping down so that I can create these donut shaped hollowed out objects that I can cut holes into that I need to hang out. Like I got ideas for bird feeders and shit doing that. And it's just a fun little thing. And if I get pissed off, it's fun to start working on clay. And if I get mad at it, I can just slam it on the ground or whatever. And it's a great stress reliever.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
This has been a fascinating conversation, Brandon.
It always is when I talk to you. I feel like we need to do this more often.
Well, we're going to get ready to do it in a few minutes. So
that is true. You're right.
Let them know where to find you at, Brandon.
You can check us out on Twitter over at Shitty Song Pod. Tune in every Friday for new episodes of Shitty Song of the Week anywhere you listen to your podcasts. You can find us on YouTube, but we don't really post it on there every now and again because of copyright bullshit. You can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/SSOTW. Become a glutton for punishment for just $5 a month. Get shit tons of bonus content. Stuff that's definitely worth looking into. Other than that, that's about it. Delvin, thanks for having me on. This has always been fun.
No problem, brother. And as always, Delvin Cox Experience, we are out. Peace. This was